Morning, everybody, and welcome to the Trade the Pool live stream. It's just myself right now. Michael will be along in a minute, so throw your tickers in the chat, and we'll be back with you straight after this. Wow, the NQ has taken a tank just in the past. This morning really had two little dumps this morning here. One earlier on and one right now in the past kind of couple of hours here. Really taking a dump. I had this buy side liquidity pool in that was holding yesterday and then broke earlier on this morning. And for me, I think that's heading down to 8237, somewhere like that. So we'll see what impact that is going to have on the rest of the market. So that's a 2-hour chart we're looking at there. Who we got in chat? Nolly, how you doing? What you got? You're trying to choose which one? RIVN, AAPL and ENPH. Yeah, it certainly looks heavy today. Let's have a look at RIVN. I see that on the scanner this morning, but wasn't it over and done quicker than... Let's have a look. Yeah, I think that was kind of a bounce retest what we had there up at 1150. I still think that's done. Trying to see where that's actually come from, because you've got to be careful you're not kind of trading into these resting areas, right? So if we're looking what it's done previously over the last few days, it spikes up. So spiked up pre-market here, come down, then went again for a double top there on the session, then come back and rested for the afternoon. What did this one do? This one hasn't come back yet, so that's an interesting area at 1070. In fact, I'll take that all the way up to this high. I'd ignore this morning's one in that respect. So I'd just be looking at around 1070. So I guess the question is, on this buy side pull, is if you can break down any further and start to call this, we can short into the pops, because there is more room to the downside, but we haven't been there in ages. So yeah, this is kind of new, like fresh new lows for this stock. So this could continue on down. Let's have a look at the daily level. So there was a sell side there. So we've got daily at 10ish, and let's get back to something resembling today. Yeah, and I think it looks as though it's broken anything that was holding to the upside now. But right now where it is, I'm not kind of fussed about it at the moment. It's a little bit, is it going to continue on down? It needs to prove to me that it can break kind of 1070, 1060 and hold below for then me to start shorting pops. If I ignore that big spike and just take the most recent highs, we have held our first sell side liquidity. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing there on buy side. Don't really have much more because there's nothing to the downside there below that level. So just a case of whether we're into shorting pops here and whether or not that is, we're thinking about doing a momentum short or a pullback short. The next pullback short would be on this next track down. We have to track this as it goes down. The further it goes down, the more the pull's going to move down as well. But most recent pull right now is at 1092, and also that could be the backside of that trend line that we've just drawn in as well if we spike above that. So keep an eye on that. It might be a bit of a chase at the moment, but we have got the opening half an hour. But I need that pullback for me. What else we got? Nolly, not much there. EMPH, I'll have a look at. Toronto, good morning. CVX has got a gap fill from October. CVX. Have a look at CVX then. Ooh, sketchy liquidity today. Yeah, that's not one for me. I think what's that? Is there another catalyst on this? Oh, just the oil company stretch. So I don't know about the gap fill, but the sell side pull is sitting right there. So the lowest area of that is kind of 161.5. What's the pre-market on that? That is the pre-market, yeah. So it's not far away. It's still up there. Some to go up there before we'll see what price action looks like at the top. Great, Scott. Hey Scott, are you trading the pool with TraderView? No, I'm just on the Trade the Pools platform. I do my charting generally in TradingView, but I'm on the Trade the Pool account. Mihai, how you doing? What do you think about MESO mechanics from yesterday after my stay period? Yeah, I had that on my watch actually. I was just looking at that to see what might be on there. Let's take this VWAP off for a second. So, yeah, push up yesterday, lower lows today, holding sell side liquidity pools if I was to draw them in. This is the most recent one. It's kind of holding here. So this one I like. Liquidity switch on, acknowledged it, and we're lower. What we've got below it is the post market low. I'm ignoring the liquidity switch on as usual. So I'm coming in at 560 on that. Template, buy side. So what have we got between here? 5. This would be 6. This would be 565. So that's enough if we can get up to 6. 585 to 60. I'm not really interested given what it's doing, pre-market right now. But if on the open we can get up there to 620 or even a spike up to 650, what have we got? If we got, where is everyone else going to be looking at getting in? I think people will like, is that, yeah, 640, therefore round number 650, but a pop to drop here. Otherwise, if it's a slow market open, looking to see if we can go into this liquidity pool, which is it above 50%. Yeah, so if we're looking at that whole move around there, all the while we're above that 50%, we can still push off of buy side liquidity. So we'll see what we have there. But at the minute, I think my preference is a pop to short up to 620 to 650 and see if we can't get ourselves back down to 550 and see what happens when we get down there. Can you explain what you're doing with that donut on your chart? I'm glad you said on the chart. That is kind of like a compass crosshair, and it's the way I have built in all of the analysis that I know and the data that I know what to do with in terms of best execution and the hidden liquidity pools and where they appear. So it's all built into that little tool. It's very simple. So I just throw it to the low to the high normally, and it gives me what I need to look at. All kind of driven by this session's data or the previous session's data. That's about as far back as I look. So yeah, it's just all built into here. It's all sorts of things. This thing, if you add it all together, it's a little algorithm in itself when you put it all on the chart. I wouldn't go into it on this live stream, but yeah, loads of information in there, but very simple to execute. Just gives me very quickly any chart. I can overlay it on somebody else's chart if it's on YouTube, just to check what I think on what they're trading or whatever. So yeah. Okay, let's have a look. See what NQ is still doing now. Right, so NQ still pushing down here. It's still working its way through the 2 hour. If I just have a look at the 2 hour. Yeah, so I'm looking really to get down to this 35 area to see what it does. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. It's very hard to jump in on anything with that doing what it's doing right now, other than rather, I don't know, ballsy or silly momentum plays. So you've got a couple here. Even on the 1 minute, you've got a couple where they like no more than 5 bars into the moving averages here that's holding it. This will hold an aggressive trend, and as soon as it stops holding, then we can expect a pullback to another moving average or something like that. But just generally, to simplify it, these zigzag moving averages tend to hold price very, very well until that momentum stops. What is it called? Liquivision. It's called Liquivision. It's that's my used to be called something else, but I've renamed it. So it is now called Liquivision, like that. So it's a vision of hidden liquidity, basically. So that's, and we'll be going into a bit of that today, actually. So when we'll take a couple of trades, and then we're gonna go in and do a session on that as to, you know, execution, what is best execution, and the hidden liquidity pools, and how you can try and take advantage of that in general, right? With or without this tool. So we're going to take a look at execution a little bit later. Hey, Boogie Woogie, how you doing? Ali, what did you miss, mate? Oh, do I know what happened? Do I know what happened to Tesla? Is that your Tesla, or is it taken a dump with the index? Oh, why am I just typing in? There we go. Yeah, Tesla, Ali, has done the same thing as NQ. So nothing really to worry about specifically to Tesla. It's kind of aligned with the market. Everything's taking a knock-on effect. Nvidia's down. You have a look at Nvidia as well. Actually, let's go up and have a look at these guys. So Nvidia down pre-market, Tesla down really heavy pre-market, Meta same, Amazon the same, Google. So I think it's just what is happening in general. And for me, that's not necessarily driven by news. It's driven by it's driven by the price action overall and whether or not it needs a correction. So looking at that 2-hour play, let's go back to 2-hour play on Tesla, what we had. Yeah, so 2-hour play for Tesla. I've got this benchmark there, this liquidity pool down here that we tapped into just the first level. We was in a little channel there on the 2 hours. We broke it this morning, and we broke a buy side liquidity pool on Tesla. That always seems momentum come in as soon as you break a buy side or a sell side. You tend to see those orders flush into the market, and that's what we get in here. So I think we've got the backside or the bottom of a different. Let me just zoom out a little bit more here. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at right now. We've got a bigger channel in Tesla downtrend. It's been downtrending for some time now, and hit that liquidity pool. Are we going to hit it again? Again, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be the 5th kind of tap of that down, the bottom of that channel there. So yes, it's kind of, this was a cluster of like timing bars I had. Like, you know, this would be the right kind of time for Tesla to get some momentum in, or put a higher or low in, but it seems to be momentum. So let's see what happens when it gets down to this 160. What we got? 163 area. Late 162s. What about CXAI from yesterday? CXAI. Yes, CXAI yesterday. That went, so my benchmark there from yesterday was around the $5. We tried to get in on this yesterday, didn't we? It went up to 7. I'm just thinking now. Then let's zoom out here. Okay, so there's those momentums again, right? So that kind of worked out quite well. It was a little bit of sideways up there, and then momentum again into the close. So from the high yesterday to the close, and this is all I'm going to do because I've got nothing else up here in terms of benchmarks, is are we holding sell side? So that's what the first one held there yesterday. So coming from that most recent one and dragging that down to the lows today. We've got another one sitting here from 570-ish to 620. So that is what I'd be looking for. Kind of an acknowledgement there from the liquidity switch on. Backside of the benchmark. So we've got to be careful if we use this benchmark as support now. Again, it's if we look at where it come from, down at 230 up to 7 in the day. The 50% is right about where we are. So 470, let's say 475 is the 50%. If we can stay above there, longs can still be on the cards. If I'm looking for the buy side liquidity pool on CXAI, I'm taking it from the low to the high. And we're going to be sitting in at 388 down to 303. And that is what I would call the resting liquidity pool. So that is where I could expect the stock to come down to. It's kind of a target on the sell side. So if we can get up to kind of 586 for a short, i.e. we keep below 620, otherwise it starts to turn into a momentum long. But we need to stay under these two liquidity pools here. So if we can pop to this into 6, our target would be down there at 390. Yeah, let's say $4. To say 350. I like to target in the middle of it. Then it can rest, right? If it's going to do something else, it might happen in a couple of days and hit the scanners again, but that's kind of what I've got for CXC. I'd rather short the BOP down to this $4 level. Ali's, what we got? Everything down 1%, Tesla 7% down. I wonder why. I think it was just bearish in terms of relative to the volume of the rest of the market. I think Tesla's been in a downtrend, even though the NQ overall has been trending up. So I'm not surprised it's taking it heavier, Ali. Yes, so back to CXAI. Mihao, you're saying they've got some contract with Google. I'll check that out. Where's... gained 151% to 615 after the company. That's a partnership with Google Cloud for acceleration of the part. Yeah, okay. So that could have been with kind of anyone, right? It could have been the Amazon cloud, anyone's cloud. It's yes, they've chosen Google's cloud to for what they're doing with their renewables, but that it's not like Google have invested in them, you know what I mean? It's just they're using Google's cloud platform. So, and if you did get a contract with Google, I would definitely expect it not just to be a one day, all right? So, but like I said, as long as we can hold the 50%, if we come down to the buy side, this can still be a longer term push using that buy side liquidity as a platform to do that. Just a quick look back at NQ for the minute. So we know everything is up. Right, so continues to dump on the NQ. Yeah, still looking down for that level. I think we might push there pretty soon. Be interesting to see if we push down there into the open and continue, or whether the open does bring us some sorts of some sort of increased bidders down at the bottom there. Yeah, everything's just off this morning. Andor, how you doing? CXAI pump news. They pay for Google Cloud. Yeah, gotcha. Earnings today as well, is it? So I'll add that to the watch if that's the case. I don't have earnings on there. I have to check the calendar. Okay. So that's CXAI done. So just having a look at what did Reddit do? Quick look back at Reddit. I think that has just gone to its lows from yesterday. We was looking at, wasn't it? Yeah. So hasn't held that initial level. Couldn't hold it yesterday either. So where did we go from? Let's get this out of the way. So question is, can Reddit 44.17? Can Reddit keep above there today? If not, that could be an overpriced IPO again. So we'll see what happens there. Surprisingly, GME didn't do too much off. I thought GME would perhaps kind of might press the buttons of those that were in before to try and get long. There was some volatility on that IPO day, but other than that, it's gone the same way as Reddit. So we'll see what happens there. What have we got? 121, and let's just have a look at a couple of others. VVPR is another one I had on scanner this morning. VVPR benchmark 1 acknowledged. Stair steppers holding this. Let's get down to 1 minute so we can see what we've got. So benchmark 2 above there at kind of 7.5 towards 8. And if I'm looking at buy side liquidity to a target, if we're thinking shorts at all, so resting liquidity down there at 210 to what's that, 220 to 280, given the whole push from 2 to 5 right now. Double top into that area. So I do generally like this, right? But I prefer them at benchmark 2. But that is what I look for when I'm executing right there. Right, so that would be the sell side. So that for me is an ideal kind of entry. It pushes up aggressively on the push. There's a little momentum play there in pre-market. Hits a high, past the top of the benchmark, comes back down, and then can't make it to the high again. Can't get past that sell side liquidity pool. And there's a nice short opportunity there. Now, if I was taking this pull, this momentum pullback, you can use that as well. And that's currently where you're going to see a gap now. So this is now providing a gap for me here. If I see a push from 4 to 3, that would be a nice trade there. We have got, let me see what happened here. Did we take this one out? Yeah, kind of. So the most recent one on the sell side, sitting right here. Right. Yeah, so that's what I've got now. So for the minute, trapped here, waiting on the open to see if this has got any more legs on it. If we start to break through 488 and close above 5, we can go to the next level, which is a couple of dollars away. If we hold this and turn around, then we're going to have this question of those retail plays that come in on these moving averages with a color change, i.e. a red to green bar. So we'll see what happens there. Guys, let me know in the chat if you like this commentary. If you want to know what's going on pre-market and you like these levels, let me know. I just want to see what you want from the stream. Yeah, if you're liking this analysis and you know, you like to see the levels ahead of time or what could happen, let me know. If you're not finding any value in it, let me know as well. What do we got here? VVPR, 25 million outstanding shares and only 500,000 float. So what is the volume it's transacted today? Oh, yeah. So rotating that float big time. Yep, rotating the float. Yep, correct me how. Generally what it's doing. Insider ownership 50%. Oh, there we go. There we go. I'm liking what you're saying there. Okay, all the more details, the better. Great analysis. Game Legend, how you doing? Not seen your name in the chat before. Welcome. Yep, indeed, we shall. We shall make it as big as we can. All right, so what else have we got here? So MESO we've done, VVPR we've done, RIVN we kind of done, LIFW. Yeah, this is one that's probably done. That was a beautiful benchmark 2 play up to its sell side liquidity in pre-market. It's such a shame they do this action. It's beautiful action, but that if they could start to do this in the live session, it'd be much better. So that was post-market, pre-market into the sell side liquidity pool. If I'm looking at to rest somewhere, it's down here between 72 and 84. We've got 5 minutes before the open. So buy side liquidity pool. And when I say resting, I just mean, you know, let's have a look. Right. If we're resting down here, there's not a lot below it apart from, you know, much lower than just where it's been before. So 64. If we are looking at what would it do today? So from its push, we are below the 50%, right? Clearly, there's about 50% there at 1, from 70 cents to 140. So 1 being the 50%, we're below that. We're pushing into the buy side liquidity now. So the difference is this could rest here for weeks, right? It just could hold there, but ultimately it's a Nasdaq stock. It would want to get and hold above $1, which is why sometimes we see another push almost double what we've seen, so that its resting liquidity pool, you know, if it starts to go up to $2, its resting liquidity pool then is 130, and that keeps it in the Nasdaq. So we'll need to see LIFW on the scanners being shouted out at me if we're going to do anything with that today. Other than that, if it gets a pop, the most recent pop 2 would be kind of 105, 110. 105, 110. So that's where we are at the moment. That could be quite slow though on LIFW. AINC was one earlier as well. It's making its way into the benchmark. It's got plenty. This is the session benchmark, the daily benchmark. There's more and more above. So we'll see what we've got there. Buy side liquidity pool holding for each. And the last one from that low to that high. Yeah. So each time we head down there, the buy side liquidities are holding, which is obviously not bearish. So we will bear that in mind. So the first time we break one of these, you could see some movement to the downside. If I take its low to its current high, and we'll have to move this up, the overall resting liquidity pool sitting there just around $3 to kind of 270. That's ANC. XTIA did pop this morning. Okay, popped. Yeah, so similar thing. Again, nice pre-market action up there, all the way down into its resting buy side liquidity pool. Right now, if it needs to go any higher, it's got to get above 430. Get it above and close above 430. Right, what you got, guys? You've got FJF on your gap downs today, AMD, Amazon, JPM, Snow, Etsy, NXT for Nolly. Okay, yeah, NXT was on the scanner last night. Well, we've got 2 minutes, just a bit less. Why was I looking at NXT last night? Was it just that little pop? Seriously? I don't know. I don't know why I was looking at NXT last night, but wow. That's kind of doing what everything else is doing. I want to take the first buy side liquidity. Oh, is it time? Is it time? It may well be time. Either that or the music just stopped. So this is the last buy side that worked. No worries. I got you. So I would be using that tap into that's buy side. Here we go. It's time. And that's the open. So I'm going to give it just a second and let the first 30 seconds go away before I start switching on the scanner, because that will just continually blur out in my ear at the moment. What am I seeing on the money flow? Right, everything at the moment is just going crazy. PPSI is on there. Just get that. Just grab the money flow. Bear with me. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to switch this on a little bit. GXA eyes on there. So that's where I am with NXT. Buy side pull heading down there, I think. The momentum on, let's have a quick look at the market overall. Okay, so still Still haven't got down. Let's get this off. Yeah, so I'm still looking to get down at 8240, 1824, 18240 on the NQ. Let's look at what the stocks are doing. So Tesla's popping up here. I don't think it's going to make that, but if it was coming, let's see if it went to benchmark already on Tesla. Tesla's past benchmark. If Tesla's going to go acting like a small cap today, which you could do, super volatility, benchmark 2 would be down there. This is benchmark 1 for Tesla. Buy side liquidity, if it needs it, it's going to have to come all the way back to almost where it come from, 170.50 to ADTX. Oh, everything's been yes. Let's see. So,
what's up?
Hey, there he is. Hey, Michael, how you doing?
How's it going? I'm terrible, actually.
Oh, why? You're not long Nasdaq.
I mean, I'm gonna share my screen, and then you will understand why it's so terrible.
No.
Okay. Oh yeah. How's it going, everybody at home? So, am I interrupting, or
no? You can go. Yeah, you can go. Let's just have a look at Tesla there.
Okay, so Nasdaq did fall. We mentioned that, talked about it many times lately, and I took that short, but, and that's the big one. I mean, I shorted it here this morning, added a little bit more here, and then just covered right before the crazy drop.
Man.
And we talked about it so many times the last few days or even more, that we're gonna see that drop, and we're getting that drop, and I'm only taking a tiny bit comparing to, I don't know, like 3 times what I would have done if I just held it. So
it's such a shame.
Perfect analysis. The execution was okay. Still a good profit and all, but man, I missed a bunch of it.
Sorry to
I'm
hear
not
that,
happy.
Michael.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Not happy. Yeah, but anyway, what's going on?
Okay, so just been doing a bit of analysis there of what's going on. Everything's off this morning right now, so we was just taking a look. Just looking at MESO. So there's the $6 short already done, right? 663. It's that's it. That's what we just said. So ADTX is coming in. That's again 545 coming off down to 437. Let me have a look. This one's just on the scanner, so this was already drawn in from yesterday. Resting liquidity pull down there at kind of 3. I'm going to go 4. Let's call it 4. We'll call it 4 on the buyer side. Now, what else is going on? VSTI. Let's just check VVPR a sec. So VVPR, look, 6 hours halted, ADTX is halted, and VVPR. So this is just breaking now, VVPR. So this has got room if it can go. It can tap into this again. So let's see what VVPR has got. There's momentum coming in there from that. This is kind of the same scenario we looked at with Rocco when we was looking at the tape, and the tape goes crazy when this happens. So I'm keeping an eye on this. XTIA also on there. XTIA. Okay, so XTIA tapped into its buy side liquidity support, and I'm hearing that on the tape as well now coming out. So just be careful. We don't have a little dead cat bounce on our house. This is a 393 to 4 is the sell side. It's past its most recent one, right? Because it would have been it would have had sell side sitting here, so it is also above 325, so that's why we're seeing momentum coming on XTAI as well, so that's got room up to 4. VVPR, yeah, I like VVPR. Everything's going off at the moment. Yeah, VTSI getting it again. Be nice to get a momentum play if we can. Always got to watch out for the double tops, obviously. Everyone else is still in this. We're going to get, if we break 560, we're going to have those buyers coming who are buying the top. And then just above that, probably at 6, we'll probably then start to see the short sellers coming in just purely because it's 6. Have you got anything else on your radar this morning, Michael?
Yes, I'm trying to scan stuff. Obviously, because the market is dropping, we will see a lot of the big ones dropping as well. So we need to pay attention to the market more on that side. So when you're looking at Tesla, Nvidia, or others, AMD, that are dropping, it's not because specifically there is something wrong with them, but the overall market is dropping, so it's important to keep an eye on the market while doing that. I got a level on the Nasdaq at about 231. Yeah, so that will be my level to see if the market can shift side. Lots of activity on the TLRY, so popping up right now, a lot of volume coming in. And I'm still looking for others. I guess the market is the one to watch for today.
Right. Yeah, we're just literally having that discussion on Tesla. I was saying, oh, yeah, what's wrong with Tesla? I think it was Ali up there saying, what's wrong with Tesla? I said, I'm not sure. It said, but it's a bit chicken and egg, isn't it? It's like if the index is coming, it should work. The stock, there is something up with the stock to bring the index down, but you feel like it's NQ's going down, therefore Tesla's going to tank. But a bit chicken and egg.
Exactly.
So what do you got? Wilson, XTIA, ADTX. Let's get these down here. ADTX, CXIA, and XTIA. Bring them down. Yeah, they're the movers. I've got VVPR in there with me as well at the moment. Yeah, it's just toying with this sell side at the moment. That's twice it's held there at the moment. I think you'll see the volume coming if we can get above this sell side now. Just really looking for a little bit of a momentum play there. I was shouting in my ear right now. That's 550. There come the shorts. Okay, so that's what we've got to watch, that we don't just jump in and we're aware that this 550 level is here. Obviously it's 560 for the pre-market high, but for me this is the more important area. So we're just holding off there. So again, this sell side, that's gone. I draw a new one to see where this could pull back to and see whether that just tapped into it here. What we've got. See, now it's calling in my ear again. So we've got some volume. So maybe this time. Let's have a look. See what we've got here. So it's just off it for me. Just off that level. Okay. Here comes the pop. Now, I know it's not very, but I'd rather see the pullback. I'd rather see a break and hold above and then a pullback than just get long. This is a double top right here, so you've got to be careful on VVPR here. I'm just listening out to see. So it's dried up on the tape right now. Just listening to see if it comes in again. And it does feel like it wants it at these levels. It's literally 520, keeps getting bought up. Quick look at XTAI. XTAI, short sellers come in at this level. Nice wick here. Whether or not they get stopped out here. But that's a nice area to short on XTAI if we're going to make further room to the downside. CXAI, there broke. It's heading down. Wants 390 or 360. If we can get down there, see if there's a momentum play. XTIA.
I'm going to short the coin. Just short it. Thanks, Meitar, for that. Looking at the Bitcoin, you can easily see. First of all, like before. We talked about it. It made a new highs, looked pretty good to the downside, made that drop, bounced again. Now got a gap and the 200 EMA waiting for it to hit. So we got room for the Bitcoin to continue to drop. I don't know if it will be, this is 4 hour chart, so I don't know if it will be in the next 4 hours or so, but it makes sense that we will see the drop. Looking at coin, looks okay to do so. That's not the best setup, but still negativity. And again, the levels are below it at around 230 or so. So we got room for the downside as well. If it will bounce to the area of the 200 EMA, I will try to short it again. If not, try to cover 230. We'll play with it and see how it goes. Hopefully I can buy you a dinner, Meritar, after a nice trade. Sorry for that. Yeah, go ahead.
No worries. VVPR jumping to 6. I've taken a small position on VVPR if I can just get hit back, but I'm very aware that 6 is an area that shorts would love to hit. So where's the bogey level? Somewhere in between there, right? 650. So I'd like to take some off at 650, or if it's super momentum, get up there to 750 on this. But I'm kind of aware now that the shorts are gonna come in, and now my level as a pullback, so even though I did hit on the break, is kind of back down to 525, even 5 to be honest, if I can let go of this rectangle. So let's see, we've got HUSA is hitting money flow as well. I haven't seen that yet, so just keep an eye on VVPR. Let me just throw this over here so I can look. CXAI looks like it's went to target. VVPR. Okay. So I want to see it pop to 650. If we can get it. We're just stumbling across those. It's gone quiet on the liquidity front. I'll keep an eye on that on the other charts. So HUSA popped. Where's that going?
Lots of penny stocks popping.
Yeah, it's a bit quiet pre-market, and they're all going off now. I prefer it that way, though. So VVPR on the money flow again. Let's just remove some drawings. That's going to be 625 right now on VVPR. Oh, what do we got here? Don't really like. It's very messy down the bottom there. Was the daily clear that up for me? 650 hit. 650, 670. I'm jumping back to VVPR 1 second. Sorry about I'll put user on in a second. Right, pushing. And let's did I just get halted? Nope. Right, one more push there for me would take it, and not being greedy there, I'll take it around here. Thank you. Yeah, that's my VVPR done.
Nice one.
Oh, okay, that's all good. So VVPR in, that's from benchmark 1 to, pretty much benchmark 2. You can give me that, but if it doesn't go, I do throw these on, don't I? But yeah, 650 up there at 770s. So that's all out of VVP. Oh, now what was I looking at? What HUSA? What you got, Michael? Coin, did you say?
Yeah, still flat with coin. Not doing all that currently. I need the Bitcoin to drop just a little bit more to get my trade. I'm still watching VVPR. First of all, congrats! You took it to the long side, right?
Yeah, I know. How good.
Things are looking good.
Proud of myself.
Yeah. So that's nice, but the $7 looks pretty decent,
Mm-hmm.
$7 to short it. I'm trying to get my levels to see that everything is correlated, and then I can short it. Hopefully, it's not dropping already.
You're at 6.5.
Yeah. No, looks good, like technical wise, but it's not the best level there at seven.
You got one
Actually,
higher? Have you got anything at 7.5?
780. I got 780 all the way to 8.
Okay, I've got 784 as the top of the second benchmark. We might get a momentum play up before we've finished up here, but yeah, the round numbers definitely been acknowledged there, isn't it?
Oh, I'll mark the 780 for me all the way to the 8. Let's see. That could be a nice drop. Maybe now and then we'll see another push. I'll wait for that better level, I guess. I can't watch the market, it's annoying knowing that you've been in the right trade, analyzed it the right, exactly what you wanted it to see, but you're actually not getting at least, I don't know, like 60% of what you could have done.
Yeah, exactly. It was it just trashed. It just trashed. It's what have we got here?
I wonder what Diana would say about that.
Right? Yeah, she'd sort your head out. She'd try and put you straight right now. So for that Nasdaq, for me, that's that aggressive push on the open. Obviously, very aggressive ever since we tapped into those moving averages there. Now that's the first side there, and NQ is always difficult. It never just wants to. It's not never. Generally, a V bottom. If you go aggressive with the V bottom, you can feel some pain when you do that. But sometimes when it comes down that fast, it literally goes up that first. I mean, the first point of call for me would be, up. It's hard, kind of halfway house now.
Yeah.
So let's see what we have. Let's see what we have there. Let's have a quick round robin of the stock. So Tesla benchmark just below its benchmark. It had a benchmark 2 below, I think, somewhere. Didn't mark it up, or did I? Don't think I marked it up. But already pulled into its buy side liquidity and heading off. That's where we get that color change. So we could expect something off that. Where was the lowest low on Tesla? Do we need to drag that down? Yep. So that's now becoming a little bit lower. So that now becomes 168.80, and the sellers would get stopped if that's the case. Little trend line in. All right. So we'll let these plays get underway, and then we're going to take a look, Michael, kind of just do a little bit of a session on these liquidity pools outside of kind of the liquid vision tool or anything. Just have a look at, when I mention what best execution is or the liquidity pool, as to what I kind of what it actually means. So we'll take a look at that in a sec.
CZOO. What a crazy move, crazy runner, and it's halted currently. There's the close of the gap is at 1180, so that will be our level to start shorting it, at least for me.
1180 is what I've got as the previous benchmark, funnily enough, which it smashed.
Nice.
I'd have sell side liquidity, but if this is classed as backside, it, once it's backside, it doesn't need to come back up here again. So yeah, that's Kazoo. Why do I want to say yeah you can? Is that the car? That is the car brand company, isn't it? Yeah. That's it. That's their advert over here. Is Kazoo? Yeah, you can. That's why my subconscious is saying that right now. Okay, VVP are still struggling here where it is at. Let's put Kazoo on watch, and if I can, and a little notification. about 1170. So just curious as to whether Reddit has blown those lows out yet, or whether it's actually caught. So Reddit, literally, its all-time low, and it's just rejecting off its all-time low right now. So keep an eye on that. Don't know whether it's got the legs, but yeah, it's definitely it's had a volume push off there, but not sure.
I'm waiting for the $3. Yeah, they're gonna drop it exactly like they did with GameStop. The push will come when it will be, with just single numbers.
Yeah.
So it will be easier to push it.
I watched that last night. I watched Dumb Money last night. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, very good. Right? I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah. It's,
crazy.
Let's have a look then. So ADTX there in its buy side liquidity pool again. What we mentioned pre-market. That's where that was the gap for the short down to the buy side liquidity in the middle of now 360. So that's where I would take my profit off. But obviously the stair steppers, if it's momentum, can continue to go through that lot. XTIA, yeah, tried a little push, like I said, into those moving averages that the good retail sellers wait for to get up there. Another one there, same with CXAI. Where was our target on CXAI? A little bit further down. So let's see if we've got. I'd rather this a little bit higher, but I think from the push down, we probably are in sell side right now. VVPR still at kind of just above 6.5. It's not yet flushed, but it's also not on the tape. Sell side. Yeah, it just taps into that. I think we say that's Kazoo. Yeah, you can. That's in my mind. Gotta get rid of that. All right, so there's your 1180, Michael, for sure. Right, 90.
Ooh, but that's a strong one, right?
Yeah, that's a push. That is. Yeah, that's going to go higher than. Yeah, that volume's higher than its previous one right now.
Yeah, it looks good. Let me take something.
So get these off. Let's see what that would be.
Terrible execution.
Sure. Oh, you just got slippage on from 1180 to 50.
Yeah, because I mean that's obviously the spread is wide and the stock is crazy. It's not my best setup. I'm not getting everything I wanted, so I'm gonna give it just a tiny bit to play around, but if it will break strongly the 12, I'll be out of that.
Okay.
Dropping below 1120, I will add more.
Just looking there, it's goodness template. So that's from the lows this morning in pre-market. So that's higher than what we've got, this is one back from days ago. So this could be a retest of what failed, right? We massively failed, acknowledged it. And then that day we just went supernova on it all the way up to $20 from 12. But that is unlike the liquidity pools, which once they're used, they're gone kind of thing. The benchmarks are still a level. So we'll see what we got there. 50 cents up, Michael, no?
Yeah. I mean,
nice. ADTX on the tape. Struggling.
Actually, not 50 cents because I got filled very low. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. So CXAI. So CXAI is coming back to that liquidity pool now. So on watch then. Whether or not, if we could push a little bit higher, it would be nice. But yeah, I think there's a possible short on CXAI if we can reject. I'd rather it go smack into the VWAP. Look, at this level there, we've got those moving averages and the VWAP there that I think would get more shorts in up at this level here. Even 5 I would prefer, but sometimes you just don't get it. But the gap is there, right? The gap is there. The gap is there down to 390 from 470 right now.
What do you think about the market? Is it going to bounce from here?
Yeah, it was the kind of whether it's going to get my V. It's not a V top. It's not aggressively rejected this kind of 230 level. It is just kind of thinking about it. So all I would do now is put that initial buy side in, which is where it is right now. And if it falls below there, I think it's going to go deeper. Well, yeah, so that's, yeah. And even with, and we'll talk about this in a sec, that when we talk about best execution and stuff, but even that now, obviously best execution, as I talk about it, happens at the open, but it happens all the time. And that would be, try and grab one of these. Yeah. So yeah, if that was going to sideways and we was going to use this buy side liquidity pool as we are at the moment, but we're still in a downtrend, then 18266 would probably be my level to see that continuation. And then if 266 fails above, then we could be going you go and take a bit of a correction to the upside from there. But this is the key one. This is the, if you're aggressive long, this is the area that you could do it, at least targeting 266. Or change those numbers up for the Qs. The pattern, let me just check, looks the same. Yeah, the pattern looks the same. So on the Qs, that number would be 439.60. 439.60 is the equivalent to that 266.
439.60. Okay, gotcha. I guess I want to see the Nasdaq dropping just a tiny bit more, and then I'll try to buy at the bottom.
Yes, Nolly, there is news at 10. There is news at 10. Is it factory orders? I can't remember what it was. Factory orders. We're on Tuesday. Oh, well, at least there was news at 10. Oh, no, factory orders at 9. No, 11 got fed. That's funny. I thought that was... Yeah, I have 10 a.m. over here. This might be my... I may be out on my UTC because the clock's gone forward. Probably haven't updated that. So CXEI has broken its little downtrend there. We didn't get to the VWAP there for a short, but the gap's still there. All right. VVPR 680. So and VSTI. Q's just tapped that level, or short of if you give me a penny or so grace, or a few pennies grace there. I think the NQ has just done the same. Let me check.
A nice push.
Or heart, yeah, just no, it didn't. That hasn't quite got there yet. There's a rejection from the low, but haven't quite got to 266. Okay, so let's just keep an eye on that. I think if that 288 fails, you're going to watch it. It could go for another push down. What have we got? What's it look like on the bigger time frame here? I think we've got channel. Oh, that was my. Oh, don't worry about me. I was just entertaining myself this morning.
What is going on, Scott?
Oh, this is where.
Tell us how you read it.
This is it's using this tool to its full potential. Backside of these. Don't worry about that. But that was my gap here. The backside of this crisscross, the gap side of that, and down to the target, which is kind of where it is right now. But I just keep it simple with the pulls. That's it. It's otherwise it'd be all day.
So you said you want to talk about execution, right?
Yeah, I think I want to drill down a little bit more onto just want to let's keep VVPR up a sec. Just want an alert on that up here. Yeah, let's me grab a Coke and I want to talk about so in terms of execution and the business side of the execution that I kind of talk about, and when I start looking at kind of pre-market and say, this is where we could be going, and generally I'm talking about this with the higher big caps as opposed to the small caps. So I'm going to go back to yesterday for the minute. So today's kind of, I'll show you today in a sec, but today's kind of an example of where it's the best execution could be done and then gone in an instant. But generally, let's clean this chart up a sec. Generally, if you're hearing me talk about best execution, I'm generally looking for an area post or pre-market that I think will be used for best execution. And if I was doing that, and this isn't like formulas or anything like that, this is just a rough guide of what to expect for out of the gate. So out of the gate, if you took that range that we see in the overnight and just kind of brought that down to the lows of that session, around about the bottom here is where I would expect price action to have an order to execute at best price, meaning there'd be buyer orders sitting down here, in this case around 176. To the upside as well, you could put it on top, and if we were going for that, then that's where I would expect best execution for the sell orders to be at 182. So I'm using that pre-market to give me an idea of where we could see, in this case, some support come in. Then at that point that support comes in, you can use a 50% if you want, but generally where that market opens and comes down to that area of support, right? So I've dragged this one pretty much down to these levels. So I'm expecting some support around here. We push a little bit lower, and then if anything, you can look for the 50%, just the 50% of the last push. And it's keeping up with the pushes that is key to identifying the turns when you're looking at this real time, right? So if you're looking at something that's just all-time highs, you look left and there's nothing, the market still continues to do what it does. So all, the banks still execute their trades, the hedge funds are still doing their thing, everyone still does their thing. It's just harder to anticipate if you've not got something that's happened previously. But for me, this is what I do session on session. So I'm identifying what the setup is. And if you look at future, we'll do this in the futures as well. In the futures and the Forex, this works in the follow the sun model, where like Tokyo will be that range, followed by London, followed by New York, and the same. They'll set up the range of each, generally sets up the next session in 3 out of 5 days, that's going to be pretty pinpoint. 2 days, it's going to run below or above one of these levels, and you'll have a trend on your hands that just won't look back at these levels once it's started. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at best execution, and that's how I'm getting in to determine this is a good trade or not. Now, the moving averages I use, I kind of back that up with other forums, right? Other chat rooms, everything else that any other retail trader might use that I consider a good play. Yeah, not retail traders that are chasing lows down here, but like I did yesterday. But it's actually I just aggressively longed yesterday, didn't chase lows. But yeah, I'm waiting for a 50% discount on the price, right? Or vice versa if I'm shorting. I want it to come back before I get in. And that level, if you bring it across, can be used a couple of times in the session before it goes off again. But pretty much that level was still kind of it for the day. So if we have a look at us, I don't know, NQ might be a bit, I probably messed it up a little bit, but let's have a look back a bit further. On NQ is going to be a similar thing. If I can get those big red boxes out of the way, let's get it to 10 minutes. Okay, so more boxes. Right, so if I put something on, like this is Lux Algo sessions. I don't have anything to do with Lux Algo or anything. It's just a pretty decent tool to kind of give me the concept of what I'm trying to illustrate. Get in and zoom on one of these days. So this is where, if you just look at these 3 boxes and what I've just mentioned about the pre-market in a stock, is you can see what is happening there, right? If you take Tokyo and put a box around Tokyo, and then you put that box around Tokyo session and then lift that up and over, then that's where I'm expecting London to kind of hold the top side of this. It could have gone a little bit more up to the 90s, but generally there's orders around this level. And again, you can take that off, you can drop it down to the buy side, and here pretty much pinpoint has come in. That's your London lows and that's your London highs, driven by the range of Tokyo in NQ. Now that's all pre-market in terms of Globex, but then the same thing happens pretty much if we move those across, and we now have got pre-market or the Globex session, and you do the same kind of thing again. So ignore the big wicks or liquidity switch-ons and stuff like that. So you're going with that range there. And sometimes at first, sometimes at last. So I like this one, but this one is the start of the London range. If not, chuck it in the middle. It doesn't matter much. You're just looking for an area. So now this area on the top side, we're going in 50%. Again, round here, we're just looking for some rejection. Doesn't have to be pinpoint, just has to not be. What you don't want to be doing is longing this on the breakout of the London highs, because as soon as you're in, you're out and underwater, right? So that's where I'm then coming in again and throwing this one in to say, right, well, if that is going to be the high of the day, I know this is going to hold. And that's where that concept of not chasing, even though I've got a high up here, I'm still not chasing. I'm still waiting, because generally that rejection of the sell side pull is what brings in potential move of the day. So if that was London above, London below London, we're going to be looking kind of down here. And again, that's the same thing. The middle, this went to the middle of that one. This goes to the middle of that one, except this time we're having a trend day. So we break and we go through, right? So it's just a concept of business at the start of each session. So I don't know. So I start my New York session a lot earlier than it does an hour and a half before. but this is kind of the open. So that open pushes into best execution, breaks below the London highs, and then gets rejected and comes off. So pretty much that's what you're seeing me doing. If I remove all these and put that back on, did I remove I've just removed the indicator, 1 sec. There we go. Yeah, so when you see me kind of throwing these on, I take the preferred. I like to take the last swing of London as opposed to the initial one, and that's when I get that right there at 7804. And then if 7740 breaks, that's when I'm trying to looking to get to the benchmark all the way down here. That's what I'm looking to fill, knowing that I could come back to a sell side liquidity pool before I do it. Okay, so that's generally what I'm looking at in terms of best execution. Best execution is generally the high of the day or the session or the morning. That's kind of it. You're going to have that open and that close action. So it happens kind of twice a session, but I look for that first one. All right. Do you want to pause a sec? So I've got some, I just got a bit of NASDAQ stuff and a bit of dark pool liquidity stuff to show you as well.
It's amazing, Scott. So first of all, thanks so much for that. The guys at home, give some feedback for Scott, because I mean that's something that you cannot get online just on a regular basis, and so it's incredible to have that on the channel.
Right, we're going to go a little bit deeper. Qs are making new lows. I'll just have a quick look at current on the Qs, see what they. Okay, so did we hit that? Let's come back down to the 1 minute.
Yeah, now breaking to a new low. NASDAQ, I want to see 230, and it's already did that. So the next one will be right where we're at for me, 210. So we're kind of on the level.
Yes, very, very close there now.
So
that tap higher, 439.60 on the Qs, went to 439.77. And this just went above as well. We said 66. Did we on the? Maybe I got that wrong way around. But 66 on the NQs. That's why I'm saying it's not yet over until you can kind of confirm above that level. It's a literally 2 steps, right? The first step, don't sell yet. Second step, that's the one that's better to sell, and that's the why I have them moving averages, because the moving averages generally take 2 steps, whether it's flat or higher. I just generally look at those. So we'll see.
I got myself out from coin. The bounce was too much for me. I added just a little bit above it, and then when it continued higher, I just stopped out. I'm still fighting my way in Sisu. Let's see if it can drop. Currently against me strong again, above 12 and change. I'll get myself out of that. My only comfort is the trade I made on the NASDAQ, half comfort. And I want to continue doing that. I want to continue looking for that long on the Qs.
Okay. Just seeing that pick.
Did you see VVPR? Made a nice push. Broke through
yeah. Did I not... Oh, look at that. Let's take these sessions off a sec. Wow. So that's a perfect benchmark number 2 for me. So ideally, for that to confirm as a higher day, I'd want to see 690 to 730 rejected. The only trouble with being patient is if this aggressively drops now. Yeah, I've missed it. XTIA on again. Okay, so I've got an alert on there to see if VVPR comes up. Quick look at that. So Tesla still working its way out. So it didn't continue dropping from that buy side. So yeah, I think just pull out there. I think that might align, getting itself up to 168.74. NVDA just playing nicely off of those moving averages down. I do like that color change. Meta. Ugh, why is that such a big? Is that a benchmark? Yeah. Okay, so this is the benchmark's down here. This is the accumulation zone or manipulation zone, as I call it. It's been doing this for some time, right? It acknowledged that, put in that higher, acknowledged this sell side, and is now accumulating. That's why I don't like to be in this trading in this area. That's the nicest one to take if you want the least risk and you do want to get in there, but you've got to wear the fact that it can just go up and down before you actually get paid. But a breakout of this 470, 430 and close below, that's where I see the nice move to be in on Meta. So we should put a little alert on that for Meta as well. Okay, so let's get back to the couple of things that I just kind of pulled from. I want to make sure everything I say is public, so no one gets in any trouble, because we wouldn't want that. But yeah, because I did watch Dumb Money last night, and it just got me thinking why we wouldn't do a little bit this morning on this. And why that actually worked. So if we look currently at what is on the exchange,
yeah,
you can see we've got NYSE, NASDAQ, all the exchange kind of business in this part of the pie, right? Whereas you'll see that retail, or mostly retail, sit in with the dark side pool and off exchange, right?
Yes.
So you'd like to think that you would be having your trade when you place it be routed through to an exchange and it go through. But actually what happens is most of the time you're matched off with a liquidity provider like Citadel, as you see in here, and Morgan Stanley pool. That's Morgan Stanley's dark pool solution. And that's where you're getting matched. So if you think Citadel, go and buy from the exchange, a huge amount of securities that everyone's buying. And there's also tools that you can get from the NASDAQ that monitor the retail trends of what everybody's buying, so they know what to get hold of. And what they're doing here is buying up a huge amount of what's popular and what's trending, and they're selling that to the retail buyer. It's not actually going on exchange. And in there, 12% of this business is the dark pools. Now, let's see if I can find where Morgan's offering was.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because that's a super important one for the guys to understand, and it's also very interesting topic to cover as well, because what you're basically saying is that instead of sending the order to the market, let's say Citadel is buying shares of ABC, and once you shorten it, or let's say the opposite, and basically they selling you. Once you want to buy the share, they actually selling you instead of taking it to the market.
Yeah, that's it. So that's how the retail orders generally get filled. So, and you can see this move. Let's get some the different representation of this. It's the difference between the retail orders and the institutional orders. Again, this is from the NASDAQ's website. So retail orders and institutional orders. Yeah, institutional orders, there's dark pools as well, because that's where they exist, right? In the dark pools, they're all fighting against each other. But there's only certain providers that will provide institutional only. The others are providing liquidity to the retail, and literally they're both feeding into the exchange. And to look at the percentages now. So the biggest part of this pie is retail. It's 34%. They call it household, but that's us. Retail traders are in here, right? Now this is, you can add these all together and call it institutional, but separately you've got like mutual funds, pension funds, foreign investors, look, hedge funds. right? Everyone talks about the big boys and like 3% the hedge funds who are involved in the equity market.
Yeah.
So, and then you've got the mutual funds sitting at 22% here, which is a big chunk. But if you have a look at what's been happening to the mutual funds, is the retail investors are, taking charge of their own funds, their own pensions, that sort of thing. So that market is actually in decline at the moment. So that is continuing to kind of move down. So the retail, the point I'm kind of trying to make from dumb money there is that household stroke retail have 34% and the biggest single amount of stock held. Therefore, if the household and the retail are aligned, similar to what happened with Reddit and on the forum of Reddit with the GME stocks and those meme stocks, is when everyone is aligned, then you can take charge, right? And that's exactly what happened. It is just the case of that. Generally, all these guys are, some are being phoned up by brokers and getting in and being pushed, these penny stocks, all that sort of thing. But it's the dark liquidity pools that are of most interest to me, because that is where, let's have a quick look at the, I was looking for Morgan Stanley. So look, Morgan Stanley's, one of its services is the dark pool service that it offers to its institutional clients. This is out there, right? You can go, they won't take a retail client, but you can certainly get involved in dark pools, which means you can get involved in program trades as well. And that's where, for me, I love the program trades, because that's, for me, a program trade is a buy-side liquidity pool. It's a number of stocks in a basket that they play at one time with an ultimate target, ultimate start point, and ultimate target. And each time we're coming back for a better feel for the next participant in that program. And that's what these buy sides are. So if you was watching this with Rocco last Wednesday, we actually took a stock. I can't remember what it is, but if you go back to last Wednesday's stream, you'll see we took one of these liquidity pools, and Rocco was trading the tape at the time, the tape and the level 2. And I was trying to show him the difference between what was on the level 2, which was actually not a lot, versus when we tapped into the buy side liquidity pool, the tape went absolutely crazy, but it wasn't the same numbers. It was huge numbers coming through on the tape on the time and sales, but what was on the actual level 2 wasn't there. And that is it. That's those hidden dark pools coming into play there.
Yeah, so, I mean, any broker that you would trade with today will give you the option to put a hidden order or an iceberg, and actually not showing the exact numbers you're using. And that's this is why I don't really care for level 2 that much, because at the end you can easily manipulate that. So what's the point?
That's right. And there was a little bit that I wanted to get on. So it was gaming. It was, I mean, you're talking about a bit about it yourself, Michael. So this is the retail. This is the retail trading activity tracker that you can subscribe to watch what we're all doing to make sure that a GME scenario doesn't happen again. Or
maybe you want to see that the GME is happening again.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. There was another one. I'll get to it in a sec, but it was basically, they call it gaming in dark pools. There's gaming, and that's what they're trying to restrict, which is trying to bend the system, right? You're trying to get a loophole, the finest little thing in those dark side liquidity pools in order to gain an edge. And clearly they don't like it, right? It's their dark side liquidity pool. They don't want anyone trying to manipulate that or get an edge on it. So pretty much, there's a whole section of protection of those pools that's called gaming and gaming protection. And it is pretty much the games that some people like to play, the quants, the hedge funds, or whatever, to try and get some alpha out of that pool. But yeah, that's everyone's interested in that, and that they're actually called toxic game players, essentially, those that try and manipulate the system. But yeah, that's my little section for today. On the business side of it, I might add a little bit more as to why I keep incessantly drawing boxes on my chart.
That's beautiful. That's so much information, and the insight is super. First of all, very interesting to understand that and to learn about it. And second, everything that we learn, we can use in order to become a better analyst or better executioner. So that's really great insight.
Cool, no worries.
And you got some questions, of course, on that.
Oh, yes. Look.
So great, Scott. Got to ask you a question.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yeah, they're involved with penny stocks. Great, Scott's asking now, are the dark pools involved with penny stocks too? Yes, it's in everything because we are paired with those. They're the orders we are paired with. And if you broke that information down as to what we actually trade as retail traders, a very high percentage of that is actually below $5. So yes, that is the answer to that question. Is that why NVIDIA is so expensive? Massive program, yes, and there will be a benchmark regardless on NVDA as to where that finishes. But yes, that's a program trade, absolutely. AMC, 90% of the float is still owned by retail. Yep, exactly, Andor, and that is it. And not that we're ever going to suggest that retail should be doing the same thing, but I think that is kind of it. Once you get, I guess, when we had, we were speaking yesterday about ICT and that, I think that's been one of the biggest. We get our phases of what works and what doesn't. The most recent one was price action trading, order flow trading, supply and demand, whatever you call it. There's something that trends for everyone to go and watch and learn how to retail trade. I think ICT was probably the biggest one that has been had so far, that has tried to align the biggest amount of people to a set process. It was just the way it got laid out. It's not that easy to decipher with the language that he was using in there. But I think that was kind of the best attempt at it. Whether it works or not sure. But it's something like that gets most retail traders that are in on the same kind of execution path as to what will worry those institutions a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's what they also showed in the movie, because at the end, like you said, if all retail traders align, then we are much stronger, basically. I guess this is something we can take for everything we do in life, right? If we think together and pushing the same agenda, we can do a lot of damage, good damage in that case.
Yeah, that's why those moving averages on my chart is, like I said, it's not to say they always work, but I know there's a high volume of retail users that are on that play. So that is something that before wouldn't really have worked. So these sell orders that are coming in here, and again, here is consistent because the same retail traders keep hitting them. So for me, it's better when they align with a liquidity pool. But yeah, they'll get in regardless anyway. There's a whole load of them. Right, what have we got? Let's a quick look back at NQ. Okay, time is really calming down now, and that's whether we're going to go into that time of day or not. So we didn't come off as heavy breaking that sell side pull as I thought we might. So yeah, I mean, for me, that is target of the break of this pull. That's where I'd expect it to go to. Sometimes it can go to the midpoint of that in the kind of second instance. So we'll see. It's one of them. I don't feel that comfortable to buy this up yet on the NQ, to be honest. And And I think the individual stocks probably represent something similar, do they? Tesla, so Nvidia is still just making lower lows. It's just putting a higher low there. Meta we looked at, still waiting for the breakout. So Amazon looks like one that has pulled back. HYMC is being called out. Yeah, so Amazon is one that has made it back to its sell side liquidity. So that is a short there for me, but you got to watch out this time of day how quickly they come out of here. Sometimes they can work their way in these before they drop out, but certainly 180 to 180.30 is an area I'd like to short on Amazon. Google's at the same place. That would be right for Google from its pre-market high to low. And Apple, no, nothing to do there. Are you in anything at the moment, Michael?
Just stuck with Zizu, just waiting for it to drop or at least break the 12 and get me out of that trade. So boring. This is why I love to trade the Nasdaq. It moves, right?
Yeah, it moves.
Even if it's not moving to your direction, you see a movement. So that's a bit more interesting, I guess. And so I'm still stuck with that. I'm not looking for anything else currently. Still watching the market. Not too convinced that from here we will see the bounce. So I'm on the fence.
Yeah, VVPR. $6.90. Boogie, were you saying, Michael? Did I hear you say you don't rely on level 2 that much?
Yeah, so a lot of the times, like many years, traders would come to me and say, "Why are you not using level 2?" or asking me about level 2 generally, and I would say, I never used it. I used it maybe once or twice in my life. I understood that everything is rigged. So why using something that is so rigged? And I explained everything like I just mentioned, the iceberg orders and the hidden orders and all of those things, that spoofing and everything they do in order to manipulate the level 2. The only thing that, if you decide to use the level 2, at least in my opinion, the only thing that you need to do, or at least the right way to do it, is by watching it like a chart, right? Because the level 2 is basically a chart. If you take all the movement, you will basically get a chart. So if you're watching it from the beginning, like you do, go back. Obviously, when you're looking at NVIDIA right now, you're not looking at the specific bar right now. You're actually looking from the beginning of the day, right? Or a few hours ago. So the same you need to do with the level 2. In case you're using level 2, that's how I would use it, is basically watching it from the start, and then you're basically reading the chart of the level 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it certainly does to me, yeah.
So once you have it in your mind, you actually understand how it behaved before, and you basically analyze in a chart instead of just random numbers that run in front of you just right at the moment. So that's the idea, at least I'm using.
Yeah.
Or not using, but if so.
So you have got that spoof element, right? Anyone can throw a limit order in to the, as much as buying power that you can handle. You can put that up there, and that is going to attract price to a certain extent. Anyone looking at it is going to think, oh, there's a large seller up there. The market makers are going to think, oh, they want that. Do they want that field? Yeah, can I match that up with someone? Let's have a look. And ultimately, if you pull that after 5 minutes, price may have elevated to that level, but ultimately that order being up there, no matter how big it is, that passive order is not something that's going to turn the market. It will never be enough. What turns the market is when those hidden order flow comes in, and they're aggressive orders. They are programmed and executed electronically to go through kind of smaller size, but many of them, and that's why the tape just goes absolutely crazy. But you don't see that on the level 2. So yeah, it's not. I like level 2 for when there is a big order that stays there and it gets filled, because that's when you get a jump through. It doesn't mean it turns around. It's kind of the opposite for me. What that does, a big number on level 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So right, great, Scott. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely, guys. And if you have other topics you want us to, just discuss between the us and all this chat here, definitely bring the topics, and we will do our best to give our knowledge here.
Yeah, he prefers watching the prints. Yeah, time and sales is what happens. Yeah, all has to go through on time and sales regardless. The hidden ones turn up slightly later, but pretty much they're all there.
Yeah. I hope we'll see another drop in the market. The better level that I got for the Nasdaq is this one right here. It held perfectly before, and we actually traded it a couple of times. So this one right here, at like the middle, will be 160. So it's between 180 to 150. This is a better level for me. I don't know, maybe the market will push a little bit higher and then will drop again. This is an hourly chart, so might not be today, could be tomorrow as well. Keep an eye on that. This is the level I'm aiming for to buy the dip on the market. Hopefully we will see it today. If not, we'll wait for tomorrow. Oh, you want to answer that, Scott?
What's that one?
Supply and demand. Is supply and demand a great strategy?
It's the definition of who's saying what supply and demand is, right? I think to me, it's no different to support and resistance, apart from someone saying this is what goes on when you get here, right? And their interpretation of what happens at that point, it causes it to be supply or demand, or for me, it's just support and resistance. If that's what you're doing, and you have an expectation that looking at a previous level has value in the future when you're looking for it, then it doesn't matter what you call it. But certainly when it gets to that level, you still need the momentum to kick in if you're looking to short, right? If you're looking to come up to a demand or a resistance level to short, you're still reliant on that volume coming in. So yeah, that's why I generally draw that last pull. Even though I get there, I anticipated this level from something that's happened either last night in post-market or in pre-market. I know that doesn't have to hold. I just know it's got a good percentage chance to hold. But I wouldn't call that supply necessarily, but I certainly do need liquidity to come in for that to come off of that level. But I do think it's just people come up with names just to try and change different names to try and change the standard, really.
Yeah, because in the end, there are three things to do in the market, right? The main ones, at least. You have trend following, like pullbacks, reversals, like supply, demand, support, resistance, and you have momentum trading, like breakouts or whatever, right? So that's the concept. Now you can change the name for it. Fibonacci trading, it's basically pullbacks. So instead of pulling to support level from the past, it's pulling to 50% retracement or whatnot. And for me, the most important element when it comes to talking about strategies is not actually that, but how you manage that trade, right? Because a strategy is one thing, but if you don't have the size the understanding of what to do when it comes to executing that trade, then you're missing, at least in my eyes, you're missing the main event.
Yeah. I think, Great Scott's trying to get the most out of this one. How can you spot a program trading campaign? Right, the easiest way to do it with without anything else, just like looking at the chart, is, I would say, a trading channel, right? A channel, an equidistant channel is generally going to be what looks like a program trade. The swings that are in it are generally kind of a pullback of 1 and a push up to 1.5, and then another pullback of 1 and a push up to 1.5 and there's always guaranteed buyers of that program at that point, which is why if I was only given one thing to use, it would be one tool to use. It probably would be an equidistant channel for me, as opposed to, horizontal levels, because it identifies quite nicely those pullback that occur. Even here, right? Even what we're looking at on VV. Oh, we're not, just switch back, Michael. Sorry.
Yeah.
Even if what we're looking at VVPR, this kind of price action at the moment, if I've got a benchmark, so this is where I would expect a program to end. But if this continues, this sort of price action, but it continues to do the same thing. So it pulls back 1, it pushes up 1.5. It pulls back 1, it should push up 1.5. And then I'll probably say 5 times would be the maximum that would happen before a big correction and back down to resting liquidity pool. Can happen again after that, but 5 times is probably the max that's gonna happen. There's not a lot of difference between a program trade and algorithmic trading. The only real difference is algorithmic trading is for a different purpose. You have rules, very, very basic rules set in a program trade, versus algorithmic trading is definitely much, much more complex. They're both electronically driven, but much, much, much more complex on the algorithm front. But yeah, that's the easiest way. Consistent pullbacks and 1 back, 1.5 up is how you'd notice it. So look, see this? That's exactly the sort of thing that you're looking at. These consistent moves that are going on. Now, this is the NQ, obviously. It happens in indexes, it happens in everything. But that sort of price action that you're continually seeing is program. Okay, ADTX all the way back off still. Doesn't look like it's making any big enough push out, so that's where I'd call that resting liquidity pool on ADTX. Certainly need to see that back up on the scanners for anything today. If it does pop back up on the scanners, I'd watch out for that late 4s, early 5s area. Don't get excited about new highs necessarily. Certainly take some off in this area if we start driving out above 4. If we start driving out above 4. Sell side. CXAI took a drop, didn't it? Yeah, so there's the CXAI trade. It comes up, gets into that midpoint, rejects off. That's where your help is. You're coming into those moving averages. You've got a green bar. You close. You can get in there. You don't have to wait for it to close all the way down here. The entry below 78, 478. It's a sell side liquidity pool. So you have institution. You have they're feeding these sellers as well, and you have all those short traders on your side at this point. and those shorts generally don't hang around for day lows, right? They're taking their 30-cent pops, their 20-cent pops in these movements, and they're happy to get up again, so that they would happily short that right there, up there at 67. They've covered down here, and then for completely different reasons, right? Not necessarily, they've just got either a gut feeling for it, or they're looking to the left on their price action of what's happened previously for these targets. But yeah, so they would be looking at 459 as a decent short from the pre-market. So if we pop again, you'd see them sellers coming in, and I might like that. If let's grab this. Yeah, similar area. So it's a push to 460 for another short on CXAI. For that, you've got to be anticipating we're going to break further down, really, the risk-reward wise. How long do the penny stock campaigns last? So the benchmarks, so the penny stocks generally, for me, only last, it's a 3-day process, but by day 3, you're probably in backside. You probably started backside, if not on day 2. But a lot of times 2 pushes. Sometimes they're one and done in pre-market, right? The job's done in pre-market. You go straight to benchmark. There's no dip buying. It's just done. If you get a pre-market pull back down to rest in buy side, and then you work out of it, that's an indication that you can have a day 2 followed by day 3 backside. Trying to find something that recently done that. PAYS, is that finished yet? Nope. RBIO. Yeah, so that's generally it, right? That is generally a pretty perfect of a kind of double buy side. Where did that come from? So this is where I kind of say it doesn't matter. It's the same kind of formula. If I break out of benchmark 2, I can just lay that up there and go, chances are that's where it's going to finish up, right? You put that above your benchmark 2, just eyeballing it, that's what it's going to do again. So the program, if it breaks benchmark 2, will do exactly the same move again, and then you've got a chance of backside. So if you look at that, was it day 1? Yeah, so aftermarket, pre-market runs into benchmark 2 at pre-market, then breaks mid-session, and then continues. And you can see that pattern of every buy-side liquidity pool holding, and continues to do so in the overnight and the pre-market again, before we get another rush to the highs, a double top in the session. And now you're looking for, okay, that's day 2. Day 3 should be backside. And day 3, you can just switch it on to, you can just put a 2-minute chart on. And so these moving averages, really, you want to make sure that on day 3, you're below them for pullback. So let's get rid of the VWAP. Oh, I've got some anchors. One sec. Yeah, so that's when you've double topped or done whatever you need to do in that second day. It's quite obvious. And then you crack off, and that might be a doji or a red day as you get up there, and then you're looking for these moving averages, these pink moving averages, to kind of hold. So now when you come in, any push below them, you can short the pop back to them. So these are like backside pops that you can short. You need better volume than that, but that's the idea. It's just a normal bell curve. A small cap is a bell curve. A program trade, small cap is a bell curve over generally 3 days. If it goes supernova, just keep boxing the first day up on top of each other. Scott. So the benchmarks come the benchmarks are actually
Wait,
everywhere.
Scott. It's for another day. Come on.
No, I was just going to say benchmarks come from those pre-market, from the previous session, or from the lows. That's all I'll say on it.
But that's great. Yeah, that's a great one. This session was really good. Besides, the trading part, if we can share more on everything, like on the inside of it, that's amazing. I remember when I started, there weren't a lot of like YouTubers, and even so, you couldn't get like real insight, as you just mentioned in the last hour or so. And so that's incredible. I always used to daydream about me going to the New York Stock Exchange and find some market makers that will teach me and just give me a little bit more insight. So that's amazing to get that.
No worries.
Yeah.
No worries. VVPR is struggling to get up to my 7 level again, but it's certainly not dropping, is it? So it'll be one of them if we were short. You're not short this, Mike, are you?
Which one?
VVPR. No,
I didn't get it.
Yeah, it would be one of them that you would be feeling a little bit, oh, have I done the right thing right now? Because I'm guessing that's... Did it get down to that level with the new high? No, it didn't. Still there. It's just wider with the new high. NQ. Yeah, just not convinced we're accumulating for new highs right now. We'll see.
Yeah.
6 XTAI. ADT, MESO. Oh, that's interesting. So MESO has broken its initial sell side liquidity pool. So that's one that dipped into its buy side and has broken to the upside. So we could see more out of that today. What would be...
Nice one, Tiny.
So if that's going to continue, I'd watch out for 680. 680 to 710 to take some off if you like. I'd rather pull back to this 622-ish area or a bit lower and then go for it. Then get in now, just time of day. I think you could get a bit manipulated over lunch. That goes for any small cap, really. What was that ticker that I had to go back to VVPR because it started pumping? Was it HUSA?
Watching NVIDIA, that could be interesting. Where's my screen? I'll take that for a second. NQ is still working his way, and for me, the level will be, like I said, at around this area. If so, we can maybe try to go long on the NASDAQ, on the Qs, but also I got a nice level on NVIDIA as well, and that could work together. So basically, if Nasdaq will continue to drop, Nvidia will do so as well. And then that's a big chunk, but between 874 to 870, it could be a nice level to start working on Nvidia. So, yeah, very interesting for the second half of the day. Oh, 5 minutes to the close.
Crikey.
Yeah, when we didn't even do the segment today.
Woo!
You got away with that, Keep bringing good stuff. Keep bringing more insight.
All right, is that how I stay away from it?
So yeah, I'll bring the recap video, and we'll do that. Here we go. I need to find it first. Here we go. Right, for me, 2 trades. One was on coin. I actually looked at the Bitcoin, and it looks pretty good to the downside for me on the 4-hour chart. So we still got enough space or enough room to play with it to go and close the gap, basically, and the 200 EMA. But like I said, it's a 4 hour, so we can easily see it playing around for the next few days and then do the drop. According to that, I tried to short coin, which looked pretty good, opened with a gap down, started to short it right here. We will look at the system in a second, and eventually when it popped, I covered that with a loss. Still be watching it for the next few days, because when the Bitcoin will drop, then coin would be a great candidate to the downside, looking pretty good. Like the price action here definitely showing some weakness. The other one was CZU. So popped nicely. We said we have a nice one at what was it, 1170, if I recall right, 1180. So it bounced to that after the alt, and I started to short it. Got poor execution because of the spreads, and I'm still in it, waiting for another drop, maybe to reach that 990 or at least $10 before I'll cover that. So those are 2 of my trades. The first one is right here, CZU. Shorted it here, added more, and then I'm waiting right now for it to drop. And the other one, like I said, coin, or the first one. So shorted it at the bottom, added a little bit more here, and once it popped, I covered. That was a good one to cover. Besides that, I had the very annoying trade on the Nasdaq, shorted it in the morning here, added a little bit more here, and just covered that a minute, or that's a 1 minute chart, so 10 minutes before the big drop. So yeah, that's a bummer. Still waiting for the Nasdaq or the Q's trade. Once it will hit that level, if it will, then maybe it would be interesting to go long with it. So pay attention to that. What you got there, Scott?
Yeah, mine was VVPR. So just dragging it over here. You can still see that. Yep. So the sell side liquidity pool, the break of it is where I took that trade. I could have anticipated it, but I didn't. So I took the break, and that break, what was it was the break was just at 545. My entry was 557 and covered it 701, which was, just here basically on that push there, because I just wasn't being greedy. It did tipped up in there, but if that wasn't a limit order, even if it was, I might not necessarily have got out, and then it was straight back down, wasn't it? So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that today.
Nice one.
Okay. Anything else from you, Michael?
No, I think we're good to go. And tomorrow, a new day. And like I said earlier, thanks so much for all the insight. I know the guys loved it, and we will definitely bring more of that.
Yeah, you're welcome. No problem. So thanks everyone for coming. If you liked it today, then give us a thumbs up and a like on YouTube. We'd really appreciate that. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. So we'll see you then. Cheers now. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.